Hello and welcome. In this text, you will hear the powerful and emotional story of one of the most important and difficult conflicts in the world, the story of Israel, Palestine, and the role of Iran. We will follow the history, the people, the struggles, and the hopes for peace. You will learn why this conflict has lasted for so long, what each side believes, and what the future might hold. Let's begin. The story begins in the late 1800s, when a political idea called Zionism appeared among Jewish people in Europe. Many Jews were suffering from violence and discrimination, and they believed they needed a safe home. At the same time, the land where they wanted to go, called Palestine, was already home to Arab people. These Arab communities had lived there for many generations and felt the land belonged to them too. In 1917, Britain made a promise known as the Balfour Declaration. It said Britain supported the idea of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. But it also said that the rights of the Arab people living there must not be harmed. In 1920, Britain received the legal right to rule the area. This time brought many changes. More and more Jewish immigrants came to Palestine, and that created tension. The Arab population became worried they might lose their land and their future. In 1947, Britain decided to leave Palestine. The United Nations suggested a new plan. The land would be split into two parts, one for Jews and one for Arabs. Jerusalem would not belong to either group, it would be international. Jewish leaders accepted this plan with caution. Most Arab leaders rejected it. They believed it was unfair, because it divided Arab land and did not fully recognize the rights of the Arab majority. Soon, violence broke out. By the end of 1947 and early 1948, there were battles in cities and villages. When Britain left in May 1948, Jewish leaders announced the creation of the State of Israel. The next day, armies from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq entered the area. A war began between the new state of Israel and its Arab neighbors. The war was brutal. About 6,000 people on each side died. Around 750,000 Palestinian Arabs were forced to leave their homes or fled out of fear. Palestinians call this the Nakba, meaning catastrophe. Many villages were destroyed. Refugees went to camps in Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, and the West Bank. After the war, a ceasefire was agreed. A line called the Green Line was drawn. Israel ended up controlling more land than what the United Nations had planned. Jordan took control of the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt controlled Gaza. Around 150,000 Palestinians remained inside Israel under military rule. The rest stayed as refugees. The United Nations said refugees should be allowed to return home or be compensated. But this never truly happened. In the years that followed, more wars and fighting happened. In 1967, Israel fought against Egypt, Jordan, and Syria in what became known as the Six-Day War. Israel captured East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza, the Sinai Peninsula, and the Golan Heights. This changed everything. Israel started building settlements in the areas it had taken, especially in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Palestinians and many countries said these settlements were illegal and made peace more difficult. In 1973, another war began, on Yom Kippur, a Jewish holy day. Egypt and Syria attacked Israel. The war caused great loss, but after it ended, peace talks started. In 1979, Israel and Egypt signed a peace treaty. It was the first agreement between Israel and an Arab country. It changed the region, but it did not end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, or PLO, was formed in 1964, led by Yasser Arafat. The PLO wanted a Palestinian state. Sometimes it used armed struggle. In 1993, Israel and the PLO signed an agreement called the Oslo Accords. It created the Palestinian Authority to govern parts of the West Bank and Gaza. Many people hoped this would lead to two states, one Israeli and one Palestinian. But many issues were left unsolved, such as borders, refugees, settlements, and the future of Jerusalem. That hope did not last. In 2000, a second Palestinian uprising began. It was called the Second Intifada. Thousands of people died on both sides. In 2005, Israel left Gaza. But soon after, a group called Hamas took control there. Hamas does not accept Israel's right to exist. Because of that, Israel and Egypt placed a blockade on Gaza. There were many battles between Israel and Hamas. Gaza suffered heavy damage. Many civilians were killed. In recent years, tensions stayed high. Israel continued building settlements. Some countries recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which made Palestinians angry. Violence broke out again, with attacks, rocket fire, and military operations. In October 2023, Hamas launched a major attack on Israel. More than 1,000 Israelis were killed. Israel responded with a strong military action in Gaza. Many Palestinians died. Homes were destroyed. People around the world were shocked and worried about the suffering of civilians. Today, the conflict is still not solved. Palestinians want a state in the West Bank and Gaza, with East Jerusalem as their capital. Israel wants peace and security, but the key questions remain: where the borders will be, what will happen to the Israeli settlements, whether refugees can return, and who will control Jerusalem. To understand Iran's part in the conflict, we have to look at history again. Iran is a large country in the Middle East with a mostly Muslim population. Most of Iran's people follow a branch of Islam called Shia, but most Palestinians and other Arabs are Sunni Muslims. This difference in religion is important in politics, but in this case, it is not the main issue. Before 1979, Iran had good relations with Israel, but in 1979, Iran had a revolution. The people overthrew the king, called the Shah. A new Islamic government took control. This new government, led by Ayatollah Khomeini, had very strong ideas. It believed in fighting against Western influence. It also said Israel was not a real country. It saw Israel as an enemy and a danger to Muslims and Palestinians. Since then, Iran's official position has been against Israel. Iran calls itself a supporter of the Palestinian cause. But Iran does not support the same Palestinian groups that are involved in peace talks. Instead, Iran supports armed groups, especially Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. These groups also do not accept the existence of Israel. Iran gives them money, weapons, and training. This support has made the conflict much more dangerous. Hezbollah was formed in Lebanon in the 1980s, during a time of civil war and Israeli military presence in the country. Iran helped to create Hezbollah and still gives it strong support. Hezbollah has thousands of fighters and many rockets. It has fought several times with Israel, especially in 2006, when a war broke out that lasted for more than a month. Many people died on both sides. Towns in northern Israel were hit by rockets. Many Lebanese cities were damaged by Israeli airstrikes. In Gaza, Iran supports Hamas and another group called Islamic Jihad. These groups are rivals of the Palestinian Authority, which is more open to peace talks. Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007 after fighting with the Palestinian Authority. Since then, Hamas has run Gaza on its own. Iran's support helps Hamas to continue its fight against Israel. This includes firing rockets, digging tunnels under the border, and training fighters. Iran says its help to these groups is part of what it calls the axis of resistance. That means Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, Hamas, and other groups that are united against Israel and Western powers. Iran's leaders often speak in very strong language. They say Israel should be wiped off the map. This kind of language increases fear in Israel and blocks diplomatic progress. Israel sees Iran as a serious threat, not only because of the support for militant groups, but also because of Iran's nuclear program. Iran says its program is for peaceful energy. But Israel and many other countries believe Iran wants to build nuclear weapons. That fear has made the region more tense. Israel has even been accused of attacking Iranian scientists and nuclear sites in secret missions. In the 2010s, Iran signed a deal with world powers to limit its nuclear program in exchange for lifting sanctions. But in 2018, the United States left the deal. After that, Iran expanded its nuclear work again. Tensions rose. Israeli officials warned they might strike Iranian targets if Iran got too close to building a bomb. The Iran-Israel conflict is not only about nuclear weapons or politics. It is also about influence. Iran wants to be a leader in the Muslim world. It wants to show that it supports justice for Palestinians. But critics say Iran uses the Palestinian cause for its own power, and does not really help Palestinians build a peaceful state. Meanwhile, Iran's support for armed groups has made it harder for Palestinians to unite. The West Bank and Gaza have different governments. The Palestinian Authority wants diplomacy. Hamas, backed by Iran, uses violence. This division weakens the Palestinian position in peace talks. In recent years, Israel also made peace agreements with some Arab countries, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. These deals are called the Abraham Accords. Iran strongly opposed these agreements. It said these Arab governments were betraying the Palestinian people. After the Hamas attack on Israel in October 2023, many people asked if Iran was involved. Iran praised the attack but denied it gave direct orders. Still, Iran's long-term support for Hamas played a clear role. The weapons, training, and strategy over many years gave Hamas the tools it used in the attack. Since then, Israel has responded with great force in Gaza. The war has killed many civilians. Iran warned Israel to stop. Hezbollah also became more active again. Clashes began on the border between Israel and Lebanon. Many worry the war could grow into a wider regional conflict. In June 2025, the conflict in the Middle East took a dangerous turn. Israel believed that Iran was very close to building a nuclear bomb. For many years, Iran said its nuclear program was peaceful. But other countries, including Israel and the United States, feared that Iran's real goal was to create a weapon. When Israeli intelligence showed that Iran might only be weeks away from having enough material for a bomb, the Israeli government decided to act. On June 13, Israel launched a large air attack on Iran. It was called Operation Rising Lion. Israeli jets flew deep into Iran and bombed some of its most important nuclear sites. These included places like Natanz, where uranium is enriched, and Iraq, where heavy water is produced. There were also strikes on military bases and scientific centers near Tehran, the capital. Some of the bombs went very deep underground to reach hidden facilities. Israel also targeted the homes and offices of top Iranian commanders. Many people were killed, including military leaders and nuclear scientists. Iran quickly responded. It fired dozens of missiles and sent drones toward Israeli cities. Hospitals, homes, and schools were hit. In the city of Beersheba, a hospital was damaged and many people were hurt. Israeli air defenses stopped some missiles, but not all. People in both countries were scared and angry. This was the most serious fight between Israel and Iran in many years. The United States, which is a close ally of Israel, said it was not part of the attack. But American leaders confirmed that Israel told them about the plan in advance. The U.S. government said Israel had the right to defend itself. At the same time, American warships moved closer to the area, and U.S. troops in the region were placed on high alert. Former President Donald Trump, who is now a strong political voice again, said the U.S. might help Israel more directly if Iran kept attacking. He even said American bombers could be used to strike Iran's underground sites. Iran said it was defending itself and warned that more attacks would lead to a bigger war. The United Nations called for calm, but the fighting continued. People around the world worried that this conflict could grow into a full-scale regional war. Now, some of Iran's nuclear facilities are damaged, but not destroyed. Experts say that Iran can still continue its program if it chooses. The deep site called Fordow, hidden under mountains, was not hit. The danger is not over. This part of the story shows how serious the conflict has become. It is no longer just about land and history. Now it also includes nuclear fears and global powers. The risks are high, and for ordinary people, in Israel, in Iran, and in Palestine, the fear, loss, and pain continue. Peace feels far away, but still, many hope it is not impossible. The conflict between Israel and Palestine is already very painful and hard to solve. When countries like Iran get involved, the situation becomes even more difficult. Peace needs dialogue, trust, and compromise. But Iran's approach has often been the opposite: more weapons, more tension, and more fear. The story of Israel and Palestine is one of the longest and most painful conflicts in the world. It is a story of land, identity, fear, and hope. It involves not only Israelis and Palestinians, but also many other countries, including Iran, Egypt, the United States, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and others. Each one has played a role. Some have tried to help. Others have made the conflict worse. Today, millions of people live in the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. About half are Jews, and about half are Palestinians, Muslims and Christians. Many Israelis live in cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa, while many Palestinians live in Gaza, in refugee camps, and in areas under Israeli control. East Jerusalem, which both sides claim as their capital, remains one of the most difficult parts of the conflict. Everyday life is very different depending on who you are and where you live. In Israel, many people live in peace and security, but they also worry about rockets, attacks, and their future. In Gaza, people live under blockade. They face poverty, electricity cuts, and fear of war. On the West Bank, Palestinians face checkpoints, walls, and military patrols. Israeli settlers live in communities that most of the world sees as illegal, and this creates constant tension. Young people on both sides grow up with deep fear and anger. Many Israelis fear they will be attacked for who they are. Many Palestinians feel they have no rights or freedom. When one side suffers, the other side often feels afraid too. This cycle keeps repeating. Violence leads to more violence. Pain leads to more pain. Many efforts have been made to find peace. Some people still believe in a solution with two states, Israel and Palestine living side by side. Others think this is no longer possible, and that maybe a single state with equal rights could be better. But leaders have not been able to agree. Each side wants to be safe. Each side wants respect. Each side wants justice. But they do not agree on what those things mean. International groups, like the United Nations, keep trying to help. But they have not been able to stop the violence or bring trust. Big countries like the United States have supported peace talks. But they are often seen as closer to one side. European countries give aid and support, but their power is limited. Regional powers like Egypt and Qatar try to mediate, but even they cannot bring peace. Inside both Israeli and Palestinian societies, there are people who want peace. There are people who work together, who talk, who listen, who hope. There are organizations that bring young people from both sides to meet. There are families who lost loved ones in war, and who now work for peace together. These voices are small, but they are powerful. They show that not everyone wants hate to win. But peace cannot come only from good people on the ground. It also needs courage from leaders. It needs new ideas. It needs the world to care about all people, not just one side. And it needs time to heal wounds, time to rebuild trust. Iran's role in all this is just one part. Iran is not the cause of the conflict, but its actions, especially its support for armed groups, make peace harder. Iran's leaders believe they are helping the Palestinian cause. But in truth, when more rockets fly, more children die. When more weapons are used, more homes are destroyed. That is not justice. That is not peace. Still, Iran is part of the region. It cannot be ignored. Some experts say that one day, even Iran might join talks for peace. But that will need big changes, not just in policy, but in the way Iran sees Israel and the world. In the end, this is not just a story of politics or history. It is a story of people. Families, children, old men and women, students, farmers, shopkeepers. They are the ones who suffer. They are the ones who dream. They are the ones who will shape the future. Whether the land is shared or divided, whether the flags are one or two, whether the names are different or the same, what matters most is dignity, rights, and safety for everyone. A future without fear. A life without violence. The story is not over. But there is still time to write a better ending.